It is the owner and general manager of the Dallas Cowboys. It is Jerry Jones. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Kevin, Corey, good morning to you. And, man, we're getting a little warm up to the Green Bay weather here today. And what's wrong with that?
Nothing wrong with that at all. We're hoping you can help us out just a little bit. Usually we have Mike Bassick with us for these Friday spots.
Right, yep.
Today is his birthday.
Yep.
Could you pass along some birthday wishes to Mike to help cheer him up?
I'll tell you, it's in vogue to be a Mike on birthdays around here. Mike McCarthy, our coach's birthday was yesterday. And my father, rest his soul, would be over 100 today if he were still here, and his birthday was yesterday. So a lot of pretty important people, Mike, around here that are having birthdays. You're in good company in my place.
Fantastic stuff right there. Now, since you mentioned Mike McCarthy, I'm really curious, not just this year, but in all of your years as an owner, we keep hearing about Mike McCarthy's return to Green Bay, and the players seemed hyped. I know every NFL game is important, but in your experience, how often have you seen players specifically talking about wanting to win one certain game for their coach or a teammate?
Oh, I think it's real. And, it can be a player's challenges that he's had along his way. And I've seen other players support him if he goes back to a team that he's got a little bit of feeling about. That creates an edge. That creates an attitude of wanting to show them, which I think is one of the most important attitudes there is anywhere, is just having it in you to want to show them you can do it, show them that they're wrong about that. And so all of that, I think, is a part of makeup and can make a contribution to the game. I'm glad Mike's going back. I know that he's got a lot of emotion there. He's got a lot of great success there. And you can't have had that happen without having some deep cuts along the way, bruises, whatever you want to call them. And, boy, that comes out in you. And I think coach's attitude or his body language, to overuse the term, will be impressive on the players.
Has he expressed to you that desire also for how special it is for him to want to go win up there?
Well, listen, Mike has always been unabashed about his affinity for Green Bay. He still has his home up there, and his family generally are from that area. I mentioned earlier in the week that his wife's father is, in a way, the kind of the curator of the legacy of Green Bay relative around their great facility they have up there. But he's kind of an archivist relative to the Green Bay Packer football team. And that's Mike's wife's father. And so she comes from a real legacy of NFL football, and she comes from a great legacy of Green Bay Packer interest as well. But I'll assure you, she's up there wanting to come home with a victory, wanting to come back to Dallas with a victory over the Packers.
It's pretty special, Jerry, that this coach now he's at the head of a storied franchise here in Dallas, but he was at the head of a storied franchise in Green Bay for a very long time and was very successful there. And now he's showing similar success. He seems to take great pride in being able to do this job with, these kinds of franchises. Do you kind of get that from him? Yes,
I do. First of all, he's the real deal. He never changes his character. He's a football coach, and he doesn't basically put any airs on about it. He is all the time looking for ways to be a better football coach. The thing that impressed me the most when I first met him about his Green Bay experience was the way he expressed himself as to what he could have done better. Now, here's a Super Bowl winning coach, and yet he was talking about how he could have gotten better. He could have done better in these areas that he thinks he can improve in. And that was the order of the day in my visits leading up to hiring him as the coach. So he's really Green Bay. He'd be the first to tell you it's been good to him, and he'd also tell you that he's had some butt kickings in Green Bay too, his own.
Now we're talking Jerry Jones right here on 105 through the Fan. I know the NFL can humble you. Are you surprised, though, at how far Aaron Rodgers and the Packers have fallen in this particular season?
Well, that's hard for me to acknowledge. I don't watch them. I watched them last weekend, but I don't really look at every nuance of their team. This will be the hardest look that we have at them unless we meet them in the playoffs for some reason. But I can't get out of my mind the excellence that's associated with Rodgers. And frankly, lately, the way the Green Bay Packer teams have played. And so I can't buy into that and don't buy into it. I know how close these games are in general. I know what happens when the thing's not going your way and you have some turnovers that you hadn't planned on. I just know there are just far too many things than to basically dismiss or really focus on what they're not. What they are, they've got, there's no team that doesn't have the good football players. They're used to playing in this 20-something degree weather that we're going to be playing. And, boy, I've seen them do it. They have made the plays. And this guy named Aaron Rodgers can make plays from the quarterback perspective. And so that's first and foremost in my mind. And I think it is in our teams as well.
Jerry, that stadium you've had successes up there with the Troy Aikman-led Cowboys. We've discussed the Des moment at length and how much that one still hurts. But what does that stadium, what does that area, Green Bay, have to offer whenever you go up there as far as fan base and what they do with the NFL and how that game's shown?
It inspires me. It to me has its own fingerprint on the NFL. I immediately, and of course, I'm a little bit of a romantic like this, but I can know and identify with the fact that you had the Ice Bowl up there, Lombardy's great background or a great coaching experience that he had up there. All of those things come to my mind, and they don't let you forget it. Boy, when you drive up to that stadium, it looks like a football carnival going on. And more importantly, they've got all of their story right there for you to see. You can't get in the stadium without rubbing up against it. And I love that. I do. And they're unique, as it would have it. They're unique in their ownership. They're owned by an American Legion organization, which in essence has many owners but has no owner. And they're managed differently than other clubs. Very well managed, but managed differently. And now Green Bay isn't always up. And Green Bay, before Mike was there, Green Bay had years when they didn't meet their expectations. I know in my early years with the Cowboys, Green Bay had some slower years. And so you see how that thing evolves, and you see how those great names, though, really stick with you. It's no question, it's a national franchise. It's not a regional franchise. It's national. And they seem to always have a very storied quarterback. I go back there to Brett Favre, Bart Starr, and those guys had a certain air about them that I guess Bart Starr, Brett Favre, Alabama, Mississippi, kind of had that southern aspect up there at Green Bay, and I always enjoyed that.
Well, since you brought up people like Bart Starr and the Ice Bowl, the romanticism of it all, I've always thought that if you go back to that 1966 and 1967 NFL championship game that the Cowboys lost to the Packers that fed into Super Bowl I and II, that if the Cowboys win that, we could have named this the Landry Trophy to begin with. Are you with me on this idea?
I'm with you. I'm with you all the way, and I see it the same way you do. And surely that I'm going to add that to my list of things to be for, and and get out here and start a campaign about it. But I hope no one will expose our biasness when we make this campaign.
Sure,
but
Nobody will.
I'm used to that anyway.
That is a great point. Now, I am curious, when we are talking about this game a couple days ago, Zeke said, I just need to get some more reps just to see where I'm at. Now that we've seen those reps, do you feel like he's good to go for Sunday?
I do. Everything I've seen, I watched him yesterday. Got a report on the practice. We'll see how he looks out here in a few minutes, but I think he's on go.
We also got a chance to see Tyron out there doing some band work, and he's kind of moving around a little bit. And it seems like an awesome conundrum to be in when you have all these offensive linemen so effective so far this year. What are your feelings on where you go whenever that does eventually happen when he comes back?
Well, I'm just reminded any time of how fast that can evaporate right before your eyes.
Yeah.
I lose these guys. And so, but I really got to tell you, when I look ahead and think that we could have Tyron Smith back in this hunt when we get near the playoffs, now that's awesome. That's really awesome. We talk about a lot of aspects that could impact us, both positive and negatively. Of course, as we all know, it's attrition, so you can lose players. But to think that a Tyron Smith could get back, now that's realistic to know that he can step in and play. This guy doesn't have to have the weeks and weeks to get ready to go that a lot of younger players would have to have. So bottom line is, when you think about a left tackle added to the mix like that, that can get your adrenaline running, and especially since that other Smith boy, Tyler, has been getting all these reps and what he could do to step in there to give us the position flex. I get a little excited about what we can do with protection and the run game.
Yesterday with Sean and RJ, they had on Jimmy Johnson, and he said this is the best Cowboys team that he's seen that he can remember in some time. I know there's a lot of football still to go, but do you ever find yourself thinking, hey, this is the best team we've had since whatever year?
Yeah. But, you always get in trouble when you make these comparisons, but that doesn't, that's a part of it. And I would say that last year, that was the healthiest that I can ever remember going into the playoffs, and consequently, we had a pretty good team put together last year. Parsons was playing lights out, and so that's one that again, just to reinforce the disappointment of last year. Well, to think that this same group is living with that. And they have also, this group has overcome adversity in the first of the year and done it in a really positive fashion. We've got more, if you will, the kinds of things to build on for a crescendo at the end of the year than that group did last year. And so it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting to think about the prospects. Of course, this game, boy, those things can change in the next play.
The other thing that I thought was kind of interesting from Jimmy yesterday, Jerry, was that he said he was asked about y'all's relationship, and he said, I don't know exactly where our relationship is, because I'm sure if I saw Jerry that we would, hug and say hi and all those things. And he said, but, day to day, the next day it could change. How do you view your relationship with Jimmy Johnson?
Well, first of all, let's put it in perspective. Gosh, I'm pretty busy. I'm sure he's pretty busy. And, man, I'm in the hunt. We're out here trying to win a championship and trying to get in the playoffs. And so he's doing his thing. And so, I'm not for sure that that's worthy of a lot of people worrying about. He had a great career as a coach. He's even had a probably a greater career as an analyst and as a television personality. And so I've always thought that he could do anything he wanted to do. So it was good. What I do know, again, the best thing I can say is that we got to play on a national championship team together when we were seniors by grade. And we got to play on that national championship team. And I know how it impacted my life. He can speak for himself on how it impacted yours. And then here we get to turn around and come in here, and I think we were together 4.5 years. And in 4.5 years, win a couple of Super Bowls. And now that is that's inordinate for a couple of people to get to enjoy that together. As Barry Switzer said, how do you mess that up? And so I don't think you mess it up. You don't have to mess it up. It was great. It certainly gave us individually a great lifetime experience. And to that end, I give him a real accolade relative to being the contribution that he made. But on the other hand, that was 4.5 years, and I'm going on 34.5 years.
Oh, yeah.
So there's been a lot of water under the bridge, and I hope to have a lot more water on the bridge.
Kevin and I were just kind of discussing this off air a little bit. You know, you're a very rich and powerful man. Do you have a lot of close personal relationships? Because you just mentioned you are a busy person. Is there an opportunity to have a lot of very trusting, close relationships in your life? Yes,
I do. And that's one of the blessings that I count the most. The majority of my life, I've not had a lot of, if you will, money, financial. And I have not. And so you had a lot of it that you live looking up at the world from that perspective. And my world has been family. My world has been friends. And I've relied on them. And for the most part, the friends that have endeared themselves have been loyal friends and have maintained that. And on any given week or day, I'll get calls from 2 or 3 people that I went to grade school with.
Wow.
And so I've lived a life like that. I've gotten to, you've heard me say this, I've gotten to, my greatest part of sport was coaching my kids and small kid football and amateur football. And I used to be sitting around in a meeting 400 miles away, and they're trying to explain something to me that would, if I didn't listen and made the wrong decision, would kick my butt. And I'd be sitting there diagramming plays for an 11-year-old. So I've gotten to live that kind of life, and I wouldn't take anything for it. I sure wouldn't take a big hunk of what you read about for it.
Jerry, the Odell Beckham story is still out there. It's still floating, and it's going to float until something happens. But you've seen a lot of your players this week step up to microphones and say, add talent. Do you like hearing them say, yeah, let's bring this in, it's part of recruiting a player like that? Or do you want them to say, hey, no, we're good the way we are right now. We're going to go win a championship with this group?
I love it that they have that kind of perspective. It does remind me again when Deion Sanders joined us before on our Super Bowl team of 95. And basically, I remember making the deal with Deion right down here at a hotel in Dallas. And but I took it out and showed the deal to Troy, showed it to Michael, and showed it to Emmitt Smith. Showed it to the 3 of them together and asked them what they thought of it. And I showed them the numbers. And I'm telling you right now, that smile went out across their face, and boy, they said, Jerry, get him. Then I took it into the whole team, the entire team, everybody in a team meeting, and I chalked it up on the board. And I said, guys, this is a lot of money. You guys, I just want you to see, what do you think? Boy, there was a resounding, hell yes, let's get him. Let's bring him on. We need him. And, of course, Deion joined us, and we won that Super Bowl. So it is important when you see if you will, the perspective of a team wanting to add another element that could help them win. At the end of the day, winning the game, winning the next one, and winning when you get to the playoffs, that's the overriding thing that's going on here with our team. And that's what makes this thing so exciting, whatever it takes.
Last thing I got for you, we always appreciate talking with you every week, but I also appreciate that you and the organization are always super helpful for our charity endeavor. I know you guys do great stuff with the Red Kettle and the Salvation Army. The day before Thanksgiving, we do a 13.5-hour charity show, and every single year you guys donate, and Whitney and Allie are super helpful, and they just sent over some stuff for some tickets for our auction. So thank you again very, very much for helping us and My Possibilities out as well.
One of the very best, if not the best thing about what we do, sports, one of its best attributes is it really does create maybe misplaced interest, but the kind of interest that can help a lot of people that can't run with the ball. And it does do that, and it has a lot of interest and a lot of visibility. When it's used that way, I think it singularly is the best thing that professional sports does, is use that to help people that need it.
I would be inclined to agree with that.
Yes,
and
sir.
Again, thank you very much, good sir.
You bet, guys. Have a good day.